Today we're going to be rating every single squirrel card on a tier list. Probably all of them. All of them that exist. There aren't a whole lot to this topic. We're going to start off with Little Deadfly's suggestion of Ravenous Squirrel before anyone else asks. Well, you're always here very early, Little Deadfly, so I don't think anyone else has asked yet. This is a Golgari 1/1 Squirrel. When you sacrifice an artifact or a creature, put a +1/+1 counter on your Ravenous Squirrel. But also has the activated ability of 3 mana, sacrifice an artifact or a creature, you gain 1 life and you draw a card. So whether you've got a lot of squirrel tokens onto the battlefield, or you got, like, I don't know, a bunch of treasure tokens and you have nothing to use for them, you can sack some treasures to pay this damn thing, sack an extra treasure, and boom, you're gaining life and you're drawing cards. I'd actually rate this pretty high amongst all the squirrels. We might be starting off with a banger here. This is actually one of the better squirrel cards. I might be early on this, but I actually think that this card is S tier. I think this is an S tier worthy card. Very, very strong. It's huge if real. Okay, next up we got Christopher B with Deranged Hermit. Used to be a bomb back in the day. I mean, way back in the day. 5 mana 1/1. When Deranged Hermit enters the battlefield, you put 4 1/1 green squirrel creature tokens onto the battlefield. And also squirrel creatures get +1/+1. Period. It's a lord for the squirrels. Lord of the squirrels. Look, they're the Squirrel Whisperer. But there is one downside, unfortunately. Echo of 5 mana. So you got to pay the 5 mana to keep your lord in play. Otherwise, your squirrels, they're going to shrink. But you know what? You still get the 4 squirrels anyway. I would still say that this card is fine-ish, but it's basically 10 mana for, I guess, 9 power in play, which is like sort of on par with how the game is these days. So I'll put in the B tier. But it used to be an S tier quality card. It used to be super S tier quality. Okay, next up we got we have Kano with Swarm Yard Massacre. Swarm Yard. Oh, Massacre? Okay, by the way, rules for today's show: any card that has the word squirrel in it, even if it kills them, we're going to count it, all right? It could be in the name, it can be in the card type, it can be in the text box. I'm not going to count the flavor text yet because we're not desperate yet. We're not desperate. So this is a 5 mana sorcery. Create 2 1/1 green squirrel creature tokens. Then each creature that isn't an insect, rat, spider, or squirrel gets -1/-1 until end of turn. For each creature you control, that's an insect, a rat, spider, or squirrel. So if you have got a lot of squirrels, this is basically a one-sided toxic deluge, if I understand this correctly. That's interesting. I didn't know the squirrels were such allies with spiders, rats, and insects, but you know what, it makes sense. See them spiders, rats, and insects crawl all around the trees just like they do. They gotta be one with nature, and you want their allies. They have to ally together, or they'll be screwed versus the evil feral cats. Okay, we'll have to rank this thing. It's a lot of mana for a sweeper, to be honest. You get 2 squirrels. You know what? I can't say it's that bad, though. You probably have a few squirrels in play already. It's a one-sided board wipe. We'll put on the B tier. I could be wrong. This could be A tier. We're going to find out as time goes on. Benovsky's like, I hacking love squirrels. Squirrels. That's not a real... Is that a card? I hacking love squirrels. The thing is, there's uncards. We're gonna allow the uncards. By the way, today, if it's silver border, if it's acorn, it completely flies. All right, that apparently is not a real card. So, or was that a card? Was it called Squirrels? I can't tell if you're Squirrels. I'm not even spelling squirrels right here. No, this is not a card, as far as I know. Okay, we're going to donate it. My dog has been listening intently today. That's good. They might like squirrels too. Islarf, Chatterstorm. Card that's actually banned. in A format. You see, it's banned in Pauper, and I'll tell you why. So look at that Squirrel looking at you with those evil eyes, along with everyone in the background. 2 mana sorcery, create a 1/1 green squirrel creature token, but it's got Storm. Which means if you played a lot of spells that turn, then you're going to get a lot of squirrel creature tokens. Apparently that's too powerful for Pauper. Seen a little bit of play outside of Pauper. Not enough, though. Even though it's banned in one format, I'm still going to put it in the A tier. Like, it's a strong playable. It's very strong for Pauper, but I don't think it's that strong in any other format. But it's got, it's a Storm card. I'm not going to say a Storm card is bad. You literally could use this as a win condition if you Storm off for 20. Next up, let's give... If gray squirrels count, rats have to count too. What? You're going to count the squirrels as rats? Okay, I am in the van, so I just got here. Squirrel's Nest. By the way, show completely inspired by Toads 24 here today. Been asking me for about 3 years for a squirrel show, so here it is. And we're gonna go to the nest of the squirrels. What? We can't find the squirrel. What, you want me to have the apostrophe here? What am I misspelling here? Isn't it called? Oh, is it? Hold on, I bet it's Squirrel Nest. No, there's only one. Only one. There we go. One squirrel, one nest. Probably kicked out all the other squirrels. It's a 3 mana aura enchant land. Enchant land has tap, create a 1/1 green squirrel creature token. This has quite a few synergies. If you can enable anything where if a creature enters the battlefield, you untap a permanent, you have an infinite combo of creatures. So Squirrel Nest is involved in a lot of janky combos in that nature, or whenever a creature enters the battlefield, untap all your lands, because whenever this land, you have to enchant the land. As long as the land is enchanted, you tap it, you make a squirrel. If you untap your lands afterwards, you can retap it for more squirrels. This card is actually very strong. Maybe not broken, but very, very strong. Well, since it's historically made combos, I guess we can put in the S tier. I don't know. There's not gonna be, you know what? I don't know what. You know what? Let's switch these. Chatterstorm can be S tier, and I'll put this in the A tier. That feels better. Chatterstorm, like, literally could be a win condition in Modern or Legacy if someone forces it. Harder to make that happen with the Squirrel's Nest. That's all I'm gonna say. Harder to make that happen. Okay, next up, we've got Steve Cooper. Thank you very much for your super chat. Squirrel Dealer, and a dono to the squirrels. This is, remember, Silver Border. You don't even need to pay for Silver Border today. You want Silver Border, you want Acorn, you just name it. We have a green 1/1 raccoon lizard bird. When the Squirrel Dealer, oh, that's funny, Squirrel Dealer, but it's actually not a squirrel. It deals in squirrels. When the Squirrel Dealer enters the battlefield, ask a person outside the game, do you like squirrels? If they say that they do, create a 1/1 a 1/1 green squirrel creature token. 1 mana for actually 2 squirrels? That's absolutely amazing. It's incredibly good value. I think that's honestly, I think that's S tier. Is it S tier? That's so strong. No, I guess it's not too much different from like a 2/1 for 1. Okay, A tier. That's a very, very good card though. Okay, we have one super chat donated from Steve Cooper. We'll give it to you, Beanpot. Druid's Call. Don't worry, there's always a replay, Toads. There's always a replay. You're gonna have to catch that replay because I got your letters. Okay, we have a 2 mana enchant creature. Whenever enchanted creature is dealt damage, its controller puts that many 1/1 green squirrel creature tokens into play. This is awful. This is awful. Oh, wait a minute. You could be the one dealing the damage. Whenever a enchanted creature is dealt damage, it's not combat damage. I was thinking, well, if it's combat damage, then you'd have to attack and your opponent has to block, or you'd be on defense, but then your opponent doesn't have to attack. That being said, I'm like, it's still very poor. Or is there like a really clever... I guess you could put this on an indestructible creature. I guess that is the combo. So you put this on an indestructible creature, and you don't mind how much damage is being dealt to it. Okay, so I could see a jank world where this exists. In the land of the jank, it may work. It's 2 mana. It's really not that expensive, to be honest. Could be a lot worse. Okay, next up. Freebie to Danny, a Squirrel Wrangler. Reminder, any card that has the word squirrel in it. 4 mana for a 2/2 druid. No, it's a human druid. Pay 2, sacrifice a land, put 2 1/1 green squirrel creature tokens into play, and pay 2 mana, sack a land. All squirrels get +1/+1 until end of turn. I don't really like sacrificing my lands. Seems a bit extreme. You need... Yeah, you're going to run out of lands for a card like this. I mean, I could see a world where you have a lot of mana. Like, let's say you hit infinite mana. You sack all your lands. Oh, but they only get +1/+1 until end of turn. That's a bit brutal. You know what? Honestly, I don't like it. I don't like this card. That's a bit clunky. A little too clunky. It's not even all in a good way. It's all... I sacrifice all my lands. If please don't board wipe me. Please, I beg you. I guess you could play what's it called? Not Rat the Skies. Settle the Wreckage. Yeah, play Settle the Wreckage. Get my lands back. Next up. Okay, super chat from Jack Solaris. We got that Nikachu Shrine. Is this a squirrel card? 3 mana enchantment. Whenever a player plays a spell, that player puts X 1/1 green squirrel creature tokens into play, where X is the number of cards in all graveyards with the same name as that spell. Does this card do anything? Whenever a player casts a spell, that player gets that many tokens, where X is the number of cards in all graveyards. This only works in 1/1 formats. In all graveyards. I mean, I guess it counts your opponents in Commander, but very likely we are not going to get a lot of squirrels out of this. But we do get... How many do we get? At least one? Puts X 1/1 green squirrel creature token, where X is the number of cards in all graveyards with the same name. Is it going to count when it, like, goes to the bin? Or not? I have a feeling it doesn't. Can I get Judge? I have a feeling like the first card does nothing. I can't tell if the first card does nothing or something. If we get at least 1 token for 1 spell, not super terrible, but it sounds like I need at least 1 card. Yeah, no, it's on the stack while it resolves. All right, thank you so much, old boy. That means this card is a beyond atrocity. D tier. Good old D tier. Very bad in Commander. Just absolutely terrible. I mean, you could play Soul Ring after everyone else's Soul Ring gets blown up. Okay, next up, we're going to go with Keymat. Odyssey was weird. It was. But I mean, at least in Odyssey, there was this incentive to have a bunch of cards in your graveyard because of the Madness mechanic. I believe Madness was at the time. Okay, we got John with Form of the Squirrel. We're gonna turn things into squirrels, right? We have a green enchantment. As Form of the Squirrel comes into play, put a 1/1 green squirrel creature token into play. You lose the game when it leaves play. What? Creatures can't attack you. You can't be the target of spells or abilities. You can't play cards. Comes to play, put a 1. Oh yeah, the 1/1 is you. And if the thing dies, you die, right? Put a 1/1. You lose the game when it leaves. Why do I want to do this? Do I give it hexproof or something? I've turned myself... It's like, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids in a bad way. I'm going to get smushed by my opponent. What's the point of this thing? So it's Form of the Dragon, but squirrel version. Honestly, like this card. You could actually print it. Why? I mean, yeah, you could print this like this is a real card. What's the strategic advantage? Creatures can't attack you. Who cares? We're gonna get blown away by 1 removal spell. You know, everyone's gonna target that squirrel. I'm gonna get trapped in a squirrel trap. Anyway, I think this card seems terrible. I'd rather have my life points. Okay, I bet there might be some utility to this card. Like if you have some means of making all your creatures in play indestructible and have hexproof, maybe you can make something work out of this card. But that seems like a way too hard to make work. So no, don't like it. No, sir, I don't like it. Okay, Evan, we got the Bloodroot, Apothecary. This is a 3-mana, 3/3 Squirrel Druid. It's got Toxic, too. Wow, Squirrels, you're so toxic these days. When Bloodroot Apothecary enters, you and target opponent each create a treasure token. Whenever an opponent sacrifices a non-creature token, that player gets 2 poison counters. No way. So whenever an opponent sacks a non... So what is this supposed to punish the treasure tokens? It's like, no treasures allowed. What else is not allowed? Clues, not allowed. Punishes clues, punishes food. You want to take a little taste of that food? It's funny, and we're going to tempt them with the treasure. We're going to give them the temptation. Would you like to crack that treasure? It's going to be worth it. It could be your last. It could be the beginning of your demise. By the way, we might want to give you some more treasures to think on. You better be careful. One too many poison counters, and it's going to be all over. Yeah, it's an anti-greed here. Lovely. Be as greedy as you want. You never know when I'm going to pull out the Proliferate card, am I right? This actually is not bad. I like it. And it adds Toxic 2 by itself, too. It's an interesting card. Like, it's not perfect. Like, your opponent can still, you know, crack the treasures. But, I mean, like, those poison counters are going to add up. I'll put it in the A tier. I like that card a lot. It's pretty cool. Little MX Doom, thank you very much for your super chat. Animal Friend. Aren't we all friends of the animals? All right, this is a 2-mana aura with Enchant Creature. Enchant Creature has, whenever this creature attacks, create a 1/1 green squirrel creature token. Put a +1/+1 counter on that token for each aura and equipment attached to this creature other than Animal Friend. So the problem with this type of card is it's incentivizing you to play with more auras, which is not, and equipment. I know. A lot of you love your equipment decks, but the auras are really bad. Like, the more auras you have on the creature, the more likely you're going to get blown out, because all you need is like one removal spell, poof, and then all your auras go to the absolute garbage bin. And anyway, I am not a fan of any cards that have that sort of effect. You're basically making 2/2 squirrels. What is even the point of the counter? I guess for the sake of proliferating them. So I don't think this is that strong. I'm at least not a fan of this type of card or effect, and it's always like just going to be a target. C tier. I think it's a big target. Exonort with Camellia, the Seed Miser. All right, the Seed Miser. It's an actual squirrel. 3-mana, 3/3 Squirrel Warlock. Also legendary. Has Menace. Other squirrels you control have Menace. That is an amazing ability. I mean, they're all dinky 1/1s usually. 2/2s at best. So making it harder for the opponent to block is actually just golden. Whenever you sacrifice one or more foods, create a 1/1 green squirrel creature token. Also just a slam banger. Pay 2, forage. Put a +1/+1 counter on each other squirrel you control. To forage, exile 3 cards from your graveyard or sacrifice a food. I mean, this card's a banger. This might even be the best squirrel in the entire game. It's got evasion. It's got pump spells. It's got it actually makes squirrels. It's a squirrel generator all by itself. Unbelievable card. S tier easily. No competition. I think that's the best card. I don't know if a card is going to beat this card today. Made it earlier today. I don't think Final Fantasy set will have squirrels, unfortunately. No, they'd have chocobos. The chocobos, people. Bulky with Crows and Beast. Very strange squirrel. I thought you were going to say strong. Strange. It is a squirrel. It looks like One of those worms. This is a 4-mana 1/1. That's a squirrel. It's a squirrel beast. Threshold. Crows and beast gets +7/+7. You have threshold as long as you have seven or more cards in your graveyard. This card is well, I'm not gonna. It's basically a 4-mana 8/8, and if you're gonna play this card, you're gonna make sure that you have enough cards in your graveyard. But 4-mana 8/8, that's like not that much better than like a 3-mana Rotting Regisaur for 3 mana. I think that's C tier worthy. Also, it's not even guaranteed that you have your graveyard is even full. Could be slightly empty. Next up, we got Little Dead Fly with Happy Late Birthday, Toadids. I guess you mean Toads. Here comes Acorn Catapult. The Acorn Catapult is a 4-mana artifact. Pay 1, tap. Acorn Catapult deals 1 damage to target creature or player. That creature's controller or player puts a 1/1 green squirrel creature token onto the battlefield. Why would we want to do that? That sounds complete opposite of what we want to do. What, 5? It's basically 5 mana, deal 1 damage. We do hit the creatures. So this is a colorless prodigal sorcerer, which by all standards is terrible. Read the flavor text, what on the last one? Those who see the squirrels go underground in the winter aren't ready for what emerges in the spring. Is this just like a bunch of squirrels combined or something? Okay, getting back to this card, this is awful. It's a terrible card. I think it's a terrible card. Why is it so much money? It's $7. What am I missing here? Hit your creatures with it? That's terrible. It's like 5 mana. Make a creature every single turn. That sounds awful. You can hit your stuffy doll with Acorn Catapult. This is the worst plan I've ever heard in the history of plans. And the market shows that people love this plan. Is this like really the best way we can generate a 1/1 token? It's not even like we're making a lot of them. We're making 1/1/1 for poking our own creatures. This is a terrible card. I think this is awful. I'm putting the D tier. I think it's worse than everything else. Neat and rage for dinosaurs, that's fine, but there's a lot of ways you can peeve off the dinosaurs, in my opinion. 1 mana to make a 1/1 is pretty decent. Not when you have to pay 4 mana up front, though. That's a lot of mana. A blackbird. Osteomancer Adept. This is a 2-mana 2/2 Squirrel Warlock, Death Touch. Tap. Until end of turn, you may cast creature spells from your graveyard by foraging in addition to paying their other costs. If you cast a spell this way, that creature enters the battle enters with a finality counter on it. Until end of turn, you may cast creature spells from your graveyard. Oh, so we tap it and then we can play stuff from our graveyard. This is awesome. It's a pretty simple card. It's a grizzly bear with Death Touch that reanimates your creatures. It does have a finality counter on it, but that's okay. That's okay. Why don't they call it like the Necromancer? The Squirrel Necromancer. Bringing the squirrels back from the dead. A tier. It's a very fine quality card. Keymat with Hazel of the Root Bloom. This is a 4-mana 3/5 Squirrel Druid. Tap, pay 2 life, tap X, untap tokens you control, add X mana in any combination of colors. Really? Tap X, untap tokens you control. So we can tap our squirrels for a ton of mana. Well, why would we attack Emrakul when we can cast Emrakul? Emrakul's one of us, all of a sudden. At the beginning of your end step, create a token that's a copy of target token you control. If that token is a squirrel, instead create 2 tokens that are copies of it. Okay! Now compare this card to this one. This is 4 mana. You have to pay 1 mana. Activate. Ping your own creature. Get 1 squirrel out of it. This card also 4 mana, but you pay nothing. You pay nothing, no money down, okay? No money down, you get a squirrel. But here, for a limited time only, if you already have a squirrel, we'll double the squirrels if you call in the next 30 minutes. This is way better than the catapult. Like, this is what I'm talking about. Hazel of the Root Bloom is great. And actually, it can really go over the top, too. I think it is very worth it for the 4 mana. I think this is S tier. Just shows you the difference in quality between these two. Hazel is busted, in my opinion. Well, I don't know if it's ban worthy, but I do like the card. I think it's pretty good. It's interesting. It's not modern legal. You know, it's cards like this that needed to make its way into modern to make it interesting. Who knows what would happen in modern? Okay, next up, we have Little MX Doom with the Cloakwood Hermit. Bonkers with the Sivarus. I don't know what the Sivarus is. Cloakwood Hermit. This is a 3-mana legendary enchantment. It's a background. Commander creatures you own have at the beginning of your end step. If a creature card was put into your graveyard from anywhere this turn, create 2 tapped 1/1 green squirrel creature tokens. Was it a card or if a creature? Oh, it has to be a creature card. It's the difference between a creature, like a creature, period. Because if creatures could go to the graveyard, you could sack your tokens. They technically hit the graveyard and then just disappear into a void. But it does have to be a physical creature card. I still like the card. It's not bad. Yeah, and you're gonna get it like every single turn so long as you sacrifice something every single turn. And a lot of these squirrel cards, they allow you to sacrifice something. What am I getting a picture of? This guy or the squirrel? I think this guy. So it's not the most amazing card in the world, but it's not bad. I think we can put it in the B tier. I appreciate you. Next up, Toilet Duck with the Chittering Illuminator. Chittering Illuminator is a 3-mana 3/3. Oh, it's an arena card. Squirrel Glimmer. And enchantment creature, non-aura. As long as Chittering Illuminator is at the top of your library, you may look at it anytime and you may cast it. Well, how do I know that? As long as the top of your library is a creature card, you may look at it anytime you may cast it. What the hell is this? Like, is it going to show me that it's on the top of my deck when I'm playing? Because it's arena? Yeah, I totally understand that. So if it's at the top of your library, you may look at it anytime. How am I to know to look at it when I'm not even supposed to look at the top of my deck? It's like, hey, bro, can I look at the top of my deck just to see if it's a Chittering Illuminator? If it's a Chittering Illuminator, like, I'm allowed to look at it. If it's not, well, I'm going to draw the card anyway. You don't know? It tells you since it's arena? Oh, okay, so like it'll tell you when it's on top of your deck. That is just so weird. As long as the top card of your library is a creature card, you may look at it anytime and you may cast it. Okay, by arena standards, this is actually very strong. It's actually for 3 mana. It's reminds me of this 2/4 creature that you could play lands off the top of your deck. So anyway, this is actually an A quality card. It's good card advantage. So for as long as you have creatures on top of your deck, you can play them from there. Courser of Crewfix is what I was thinking of. This is the creature version of a Courser of Crewfix. Plus, you can even play this off the top of your deck if it ends up rising to the very, very tippy top anyway. Is the top of my library a Chittering Illuminator? No. Is the top of my library a Chittering Illuminator? No. Yeah, exactly. Can I do that every single turn of every single game? Okay, we're gonna look at more squirrel cards, of course, because this is the Squirrel Show. But we gotta take a break to thank our sponsor, FusionGamingOnline.com, my place to buy Ether Drift cards. Get fast and furious. Buy your Ether Drift planeswalkers and vehicles. The vehicles are what makes the plane that it is. And also, don't forget, FusionGamingOnline.com has a weekly deal every week. And the deal of the week this week is save 15% off all Secret Lair singles and box sets. Savings displayed in cart. And of course, if you want to really support the channel in the most special way that you can, you're going to want to use coupon code Nikachu at checkout. not only support the channel, but also get you 5% off all your purchases at checkout. We're also going to thank Mana Traders, the premier place to rent Magic cards online. You know, and also if you want to play a Squirrel deck for fun in Pauper or in casual Magic, you can do that when you're playing with when you're renting with Mana Traders. Play Magic online with any deck possible. Make as many brews as you want because like it doesn't cost you anything to keep renting back and forth. It just costs you a monthly subscription. You can support the channel using my Mana Traders link in the description below, or save 40% cash back on your 3rd month subscription using coupon code Nikachu_F08. When you realize that Squirrel deck sucks, well, you can try it in another format or something. Okay, back to our show. Chen. Comet Stellar Pup. Comet Stellar. If it has the word squirrel in it somewhere, yes. If it doesn't, no. It does have a squirrel in the card. Okay, so it counts. 4 mana for a 5 loyalty Comet. Pay 0. Roll a 6-sided die. If it's a 1 or a 2, you go +2. Then create 2 1/1 green squirrel creature tokens. They gain haste until end of turn. Haste these squirrels. Squirrels probably should have haste. They're fast as hell. You ever try to grab a squirrel before? It's not easy. Usually it doesn't work out. Okay, then if we roll a 3, we go -1. Then return a card with mana value 2 or less from your graveyard to your hand. If we roll a 4 of a 5, a Comet Stellar Pup deals damage equal to the number of loyalty counters on him to a creature or player, then -2. Oh, I see. Deal damage. Okay, weird. Then if we roll a 6, we go +1, and you may have Comet Stellar Pup's loyalty ability 2 more times this turn. Whoa! We got 2 free rolls if we draw the 6. This card's okay. I actually think this card is fine. Is it legal anywhere? It is legal in Legacy. That is so weird. It's pretty weak for a squirrel card, but it's not the worst thing I've ever seen. It's better than all this garbage down here. All the trash down here. It's got some utility to it. Like, I'm not going to be unhappy if I roll anywhere between 1 and 6. They're all good. Toads, we'll see you later. Don't forget Chatterfang. Did we do Chatterfang? Okay, this is basically your show. Chatterfang. Let's take a look at Chatterfang here. Chatterfang. Of course Chatterfang counts. Literally a squirrel. It's a 3 mana squirrel general, also a warrior. 3/3 with Forest Walk. If one or more tokens would be created under your control, those tokens plus that many 1/1 green squirrel creature tokens are created instead. So we got like what, parallel lives for squirrels? It's a parallel squirrel. Pay a black. Sacrifice X squirrels. Target creature gets +X -X until end of turn. Could be a pump spell. Could also be a removal spell. Very strong universal squirrel. Also, what makes this card good is that the built-in evasion. So between that and Yavimaya, Critical Growth, you can actually have some unblockability here. Okay, I'll make sure that it's S tier. Comet is broken in Legacy, last I heard. Well, I played a little bit of Legacy between Comet's existence and it doesn't exist there. Algot. A Cornelia fashionable flincher. And remember, there's not so many squirrel cards, so Silver Border and Acorn cards are totally fair game without super chats. It's a 4 mana 3/3 squirrel. Whenever you cast a spell with a squirrel in its art, you get an acorn? Okay, yeah. So whenever a squirrel you control enters the battlefield or dies, you also get an acorn. 3 mana, pay X acorn. Target creature gets -X until end of turn. Pay green, pay X acorn. Target creature gets +X until end of turn. Here's one problem I have with this card. It's sort of expensive. So if you play out your squirrels in the earlier portion of the game, either on turn 1, 2, 3, you may not have so many cards to play after you play a Cornelia. So I think there's a lot of good stuff to this card, but unfortunately, I think based on the curve, you're not going to get as many acorns as you would like to really break it. So I'm just going to put in the B tier. I think the abilities are all good, though. There's nothing wrong with any of these abilities, but the problem is how you're going to curve out with it is going to give you less acorns. because she needs to be in play in order for you to start building up those acorn abilities. But maybe it's better than I think. Maybe you can get the acorns from other cards, so it doesn't even matter. Next up, Lil MX Doom with the Scurry Oak. Big combo card. 3 mana, 1/2 Tree Folk, evolve. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, if that creature has greater power or toughness, then this creature put a +1/+1 counter on the creature. On this creature, that is. Whenever one or more +1/+1 counters are put on Scurry Oak, you may create a 1/1 green squirrel creature token. There are a few combos with this card where if a creature enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on Scurry Oak. There's multiple 2-card, and I believe there's multiple 2-card. Definitely a lot of 3-card combos involving Scurry Oak because of the combo presence. Definitely a very strong card. A tier. Maybe worthy of being S tier, but it's usually a combo that's easy to dismantle because all you have to do is kill the Scurry Oak and it's over. In response to your counter going on the Scurry Oak, well, I kill it. Next. Trent Sims. Oh, Toski. Toski, how do we... Yeah, fun fact about this. The character is based on Tosker, a creature from Norse mythology. Interesting. Okay, 4 mana, 1/1 squirrel. Spell can't be countered. Also indestructible. Toski, Bearer of Secrets, attacks each combat if able, but has no problem doing that because whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, you also draw a card. It's a lot of value. Undisputedly, definitely S tier. I mean, very, very strong. Almost free to play. Almost. It's interesting. I thought this card would see even more play in Modern and maybe even Pioneer. Maybe it still deserves to see play. Like, it can't be countered. It's indestructible. I think I like it. The only problem is it's a bit clunky. It has to attack on the ground, too. I'm sorry. There's so many people with no card yet. Okay, we'll start with Leslian. Chittering Skull Speaker. Sounds terrible. Squirrels communicating with the skulls. Chittering Skull Speaker is a 2 mana 1/1 Squirrel Warlock. Starting intensity of 0. When Chittering Skull Speaker enters, cards you own named Chittering Skull Speaker intensify by 1. Then you draw X cards and you lose X life, where X is Chittering Skull Speaker's intensity. I honestly don't know how intensity works. I can't remember how it works. When Chittering Skull Speaker enters, cards you own named Chittering Skull Speaker intensify by 1. So it starts at 1. Then you draw X cards and lose X life. So I guess the idea is, like, if I play a second Chittering Skull Speaker, the intensity would be 2, and I draw 2, lose 2 life. I think that's quite good. I've seen Toski played in Pioneer, like 1 copy in Collected Company Spirit decks. That might make some sense. Although you can't get that. You can't get the Toski with it. Okay, I think that's a strong... This is a strong card. A tier. A tier for squirrels, by the way. I mean, to be frank, like, everything would probably be 2 tiers down otherwise. Okay, Steve Cooper. Baker's Bane Duo. Dono for Squirrel Chat as well. Bake me a cake as fast as you can. Oh, of course, Steve Cooper would choose the raccoon card. It's not just a raccoon card, it's also a squirrel card. 2 mana, 2/2. When Baker's Bane Duo enters, create a food token. Or steal a food token. It's not like these two are staring at this pie from inside the house. Whenever you expend 4, Baker's Bane Duo gets +1/+1 until end of turn. You expend 4 as you spend your 4th total mana to cast spells during a turn. Oh, I see. Okay. So if I spend 4 mana in a turn, we get a +1/+1, but only until end of turn. But whatever. But we get the food token. That's right. You're the thieving raccoon diver. Thieving Raccoon Diver. Honestly, not a very good card. think 2 mana for a food token that sometimes gets +1/+1 is very below the power level. Goes straight to D tier. Okay, there was a donation, though, out of all that. We'll give it to Meme Brule. Cash grab. Okay, we have a 2 mana instant. Mill 4 cards. You may put a permanent card from among the cards milled this way into your hand. If you control a squirrel or return a squirrel card to your hand this way, create a food token. Did we turn the squirrel into a food token? So if you control a squirrel or return a squirrel card to your hand. Oh, I guess the idea is we put the squirrel in our hand and it left the food, like it dropped it or something to that effect. Card seems decent. What happens? You mill that many cards, and they go to your graveyard. That's actually a really, really good effect. There's nothing wrong with that at all. And you get a permanent card, and also has randomly the effect of getting a food token. Probably is not the part of the card that I would play at all. I think that's an A tier level card. It's almost like a mini impulse. Put a permanent card from among the cards. Yeah, it's great. And you mill 4 cards. I think this is the type of card that you put in a graveyard-based deck, like a Golgari graveyard-based deck. And they're looking for permanents to keep the chain going. So yes, absolutely cash grab counts. And now to the freebie section. Again, Justin, Nested Shambler. Nested. Are they in shambles? This is a zombie. It's a green 1/1. When Nested Shambler dies, create X, tap 1/1 green squirrel creature tokens where X is Nested Shambler's power. That sounds disgusting. It's almost like the zombie is about to implode and a bunch of squirrels, you know, like someone blows up the Nested Shambler and then a bunch of squirrels skitter away. But as it shows on the picture, it looks like the squirrels are sort of riding its back like a free taxi. Uber! The Uber zombie. And when the ride is over, the squirrels have to get out. I think it's pretty poor, though. C tier. If you can make the squirrel... If you can make the zombie big, I guess that's fine. But, like, it's pretty small. A little bit of work here. A little bit of work. Little MX Doom with the Chittering Doom. I'm surprised how much love there is for the Squirrel Show, to be honest. Okay, Chittering Doom is a 4-mana enchantment. Whenever you roll a 4 or higher on a die, create a 1/1 green squirrel creature token. This card could end up being not too bad in a Krark's Thumb deck or a deck where you were playing with a lot of squirrels. Also, if you have to roll a 20-sided die, you're almost guaranteed to get a squirrel off this thing because there's like an 80% chance on a 20-sided die. So yeah, I think it's still a bit expensive, but I think it's not too bad. Here we get a picture of this little fellow here in the corner. For that, I can put in the B tier. It's not bad. You didn't get a card yet, old boy? Specimen Collector. Specimen Collector is a 5-mana 2/1 Vidalcan Wizard. What do you have to do with squirrels? When Specimen Collector enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 green squirrel creature token and a 0/3 blue crab creature token. You collect the weirdest things, Specimen Collector. Oh, I see. The squirrel's sort of in the background, and I think a chipmunk. I think. When Specimen Collector dies, create a token that's a copy of target token you control. 5 mana for... It's 5 mana for 3 creatures. So I got to give some respect to that. At least we're getting like 3 bodies out of the deal, but I'm not really thrilled about the card. It's not very powerful. C tier. Next up. Let's get one from Jack Solaris. Prairie Dog. It counts, I swear. Why? Because prairie dogs and squirrels are basically the same thing? Oh, no. Well, it literally is a squirrel. Okay, 2 mana for a 2/2 with lifelink, among all things. At the beginning of your end step, if you haven't cast a spell from your hand this turn, put a +1/+1 counter on a prairie dog. Okay. I actually like that. I mean, if you're playing a deck that can sort of function at flash speed, pass the turn, get a +1/+1 counter. Make me a little bit bigger for the next turn. 5 mana until end of turn. If you would put one or more +1/+1 counters on a creature you control, put that many +1/+1 counters on it instead. I think that's a bit clunky, not very necessary. So the first they had me in the first half, didn't really have me in the second half. So this is a B tier level card. I've seen worse. That's all I'm gonna say about this card. Is this a real card, Squirrel Sovereign? Oh wow, it is. It didn't feel like a real card. It sort of felt like a real card. I couldn't tell if you were commenting on another card. Okay, 2 mana for a 2/2 Squirrel Noble, and other squirrels get +1/+1. It's so vanilla though. Just vanilla Squirrel Lord. Ugh. You know, I can't even put in the A tier, B tier. It's not great. It's not bad. If it had one extra ability attached to it, I played with a lot of lords. Lords are overrated. Like, they're grossly overrated, especially in creature form. It needs like one other ability attached to it, but it's not bad. I mean, honestly, if I were to make a squirrel deck, I would snap include the Squirrel Sovereign, but I'm not thrilled about it. Okay, anyone else with no card yet? How far do I go? I gotta go for no cards. We gotta do no 2 cards yet at this point. I guess no 2 cards. Hexenort, Thorn Vault Forager. Thorn Vault Forager is a 2 mana 2/2 Squirrel Ranger. The Rescue Ranger. Tap to add a green. That's good. Tap Forage, add 2 mana in any combination of colors. That's great. And 4 mana, tap search your library for a squirrel card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. That is amazing. I think this squirrel's a banger. I'm surprised it's so cheap. I mean, it probably has no place in standard, but I think if I'm making a squirrel deck in any format, I'd have to have it. At least in Commander. I think this is a Commander S tier, especially since you're just limited. Like, you don't have many squirrels in your deck, so this is like the only card that's going to help you find squirrels, and you can play it at instant speed. You can pass the turn and activate it later. And it's ramp. It's basically a mana rock. Literally. Mason with Earthcraft. Does that count? I know what you mean. Tap an untap creature you control, untap target basic land. Like, it's supposed to. It's like a squirrel-ish card, but it's not actually a squirrel card. You know what I mean? MTG Gaming Bob. We didn't do Swarm? Actually, I thought we were gonna do Swarm Yard, but then the suggestion was the Swarm Yard Massacre. But you're actually talking about actual Swarm Yard, and it definitely counts. Tap. It's a land that taps for a colorless, and then tap Regenerate, target instant. Insect, rat, spooter, or a squirrel. And I think it's a free roll. Frankly, I think it's a free roll in a squirrel deck, so this is an S tier level card. Even if you're playing 2 colors, I don't see anything wrong with this card. Next, super chat. Let's get one from Lil MX Doom. The Renin 1. What happened to 6? Is it gone now? Renin 1, +1. Renin 1 gain. It doesn't even have a mana cost. No mana cost. +1. Renin 1 gains tap. Add green until your next turn. I got confused by this card. It's a planeswalker that's sort of a creature. -1, create a 1/1 green squirrel creature token. -4, you get an emblem with, at the beginning of your pre-combat main phase, add green for each creature you control. You can't cast this card. It doesn't have even a mana cost of 0. You have to cheat it in play somehow. For that reason, this card is just it's not good. You'd have to cheat it in play, and even if you cheat it in play, it's not that strong. I mean, the loyalty starts at 1. I thought, was it supposed to have a mana cost? Maybe I'm missing something here. D tier. Terrible card. Just like the catapult. Ren and 1 is a land. Oh! 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 That changes everything. You just play as land. Oh, that completely yeah, you just play it as a land. Oh, then it's broken. It's just broken. Or maybe it's not. I don't. Hold on. You can still attack it, right? Ren and 1 gains. You can tap it for mana. Okay, maybe it's not that broke. Okay, A tier. It's like a land I can attack. That can't be good. Yeah, from D to S down to A. The Ren and 1 story. Okay. Next up, we have to do a freebie here. I don't see Ravenous Squirrel. I want to say we did this, but maybe not. Yeah, we did. It was our first one. Immediately went to S tier. It was actually the very first card. Bell! Acorn Harvest. This card exists. Where are you? 4 mana sorcery. Put 2 1/1 green squirrel creature tokens into play. You can flash it back for 2 mana, paying 3 life. I think the real key to this card is you actually want to discard this into the graveyard. You don't really want to play it for 4 mana. You'd rather pay it for 2. Though, to be honest, I think by today's standard, it's not even that great. It's like, there's a lot of cards out there that are like pay 2 mana, get 2 creatures. This is pay 2 mana and 3 life. If you can get both halves, that's fine, but it's not even that good value anymore. I think it was like a lot better back in the day. C tier. The value is just not there. It's like 6 mana, get 4 creatures, I guess. And you have to pay 3 life. You want a refund on your Swarm Yard super chat? All right, you're gonna. Oh, that I see. Well, then you do get a refund. Okay, Benovsky. With we got Squeaker Squeak Squeakin. Translation chat dono. Okay, thank you so much. I would have literally looked that up. I can't tell if you're donating. You know, we're including the uncards today. Anyone else with no card yet? Oh, maybe everyone's just gonna get a second card at this point. That's the preposterous proportion. That's preposterous. Look at these squirrels. 7 mana for a sorcery. Creatures you control get +10/+10 and gain vigilance until end of turn. You know what? Normally I would disqualify this, but there's big squirrels in the art, so I'm gonna allow it. Also, it was a donated super chat, so we've got that going for it there as well. So preposterous. Let's get both of these things. Creatures you control. It's like a crappy overrun because you don't have any evasion. C tier. If it gave flying, if it gained trample. Why doesn't it have trample? Look at this one. Look, this literally trampling over the environment. You saying that's not trample? That's trample, baby. As far as I'm concerned. Okay, now freebie section. Okay, peanut butter. Oh, no, sorry. Peanut putter. No card yet with Emrakul and Chatterfang. That was a pair for the ages. They just had to do that. What am I even grabbing here for an image? This is 11 mana for a 15/15 Eldrazi Squirrel, Devoid. Flying, Trample, Forest Walk, protection from non-squirrels. When you cast Emrakul and Chatterfang, create 15 1/1 green Eldrazi Squirrel Scion creature tokens with. Sacrifice this creature, add green or a black. What a weird card. No, that's the right one. I'm the one that got the name wrong. Okay, no, I got it. Okay, what am I even grabbing here? This? No, actually, to be serious, is this card good? It's 11 mana, but it does like you don't get an extra turn out of it. Flying, Trample, Forest Walk, protection from non-squirrels. Well, that's terrible. So what, like any removal, Doomblade now kills this thing. But we do get 15 1/1 green Eldrazi Squirrel Scion creature tokens. I actually have to say that this card is very strong. I think the card is insane. Okay, we'll put it in A tier. There. I'll just put a bunch of stuff underneath the Emrakul and Chatterfang. As weird as that looks. Okay, Lil MX Doom, do you have a replacement card? I'm looking in the freebie section. I don't see you. You can have the refund. You got to give me a replacement. Okay, next we will get to Steve Cooper. Emrakul, well, you also got sniped. Mighty to type is funny. No, we found it. Okay, so we'll have 3 donations. Don 11 with Earl of Squirrel. Six mana for a 4/4 Squirrel Advisor. With Squirrel Link, damage dealt by this creature also causes you to create that many 1/1 Squirrel creature tokens. Squirrel Link? Creature tokens you control are squirrels in addition to their other creature types. Oh! Okay, so basically you play any tokens that are squirrels. Other squirrels you control get +1/+1. This is actually a fantastic card. I think this is a banger card. Because you can, so like unlike a lot of these other cards, this doesn't require any setup. So you basically you make tokens any way you want. You play your Earl of Squirrel. Like you can just jam this into any deck that can remotely cast the card. I think this card is great. Hold on, is it S tier worthy? Let me reread this. Damage dealt by this creature also causes you to create that many. Oh, that's insane. S tier. S tier. Very strong. Didn't need to be silver border. This is a real looking card. I think I saw Lil MX Doom. Okay, for your missing super chat. Rootcast apprenticeship. And there's still 2 more freebies from Steve Cooper. 4 mana sorcery. Choose 3. You may choose the same mode more than once. Put 2 +1/+1 counters on target creature. Create a token that's a copy of target token you control. Target player creates a 1/1 green squirrel creature token, and target opponent sacrifices a non-token artifact. Choose 3. This is going to be an incredibly broken anti-artifact card. Sack all your artifacts, please, affinity player. Sack all your lands, your creatures, your cranial plating. It's not destroy, it's sack. So your indestructible artifacts have no power here. If there's utility on this. The only problem is there a squirrel in the image? There is no squirrel in the image. That's okay. It's sorcery. And at 4 mana, you can make a few squirrels out of this. B tier. Okay, 2 more super chats from Steve Cooper. Who's getting them? Okay, one of them is going to go to Pedgeman. Did we do a Cornelia fashionable flinch? I don't think so. A Cornelia fashionable filcher? Oh, we did actually. Sorry about that. Give one to Bell. Chatter of the Squirrel. Green sorcery. Create a 1/1 green squirrel creature token. Flashback of 2 mana. Oh God, what's going on with the mouth? Is it rabies? It's either that or it's bleeding internally. I never took a close look at this art. It looks terrible. Something very disturbing is happening to the chatter of the squirrel. Anyway, I think this is very poor value. It's 3 mana to get 2 tokens. That's like, I don't know. It's like a crappy Lingering Souls, essentially. Could be rabies. It could be rabies. Can't count out rabies here. Okay, Pedgeman. Let's get this right. Animal Friend. That's right. You have to throw out 1,000,000 cards. Oh, we did Animal Friend. But maybe Bloodroot. Did we do Bloodroot? I don't think we did Bloodroot. We did Bloodroot. Damn it. We did all these cards. You just got super screwed. Kano knows half squirrel, half something. I'm telling you, people, we're going to get all these cards today. All of them. We might run out of cards, despite the super chats. It's a -1, -0. Whenever a non-token creature enters the battlefield, blank, augments. Well, I don't know what the second half is supposed to be. So to the absolute dumpster it goes. I never played with these cards. D tier. I know it's supposed to pair it up with something else, but this half ain't it. I would never want to play this half. It sounds it looks terrible. Okay, Trip Fontaine, there is, I believe, I think there's one more super chat from Steve Cooper. Either that or it's going to the freebie section at this point. Verdant Command. 2 mana for an instant. Choose 2. Target player creates 2 tapped 1/1 green squirrel creature tokens. Counter target loyalty ability of a planeswalker. That's great. Exile target card from a graveyard and target player gains 3 life. This is a good card. This is a solid card. So we get a 1/1 creature at instant speed, equal the number of mana we spent on the card. So we get 2 squirrels, but we get an extra ability. We can gain 3 life. We can screw over our opponent's graveyard, or we can counter. Basically, it's a stifle for planeswalkers. I like this card a lot. That's an A tier level card. Good stuff. Okay, we're at this point where it is all and only super chats. Oh, but we do have a donation from MTG Gaming Bob to cover the Stormyard that he stole from MX Doom, little MX Doom. Who doesn't have? Is this a card? The Chitter Spitter. The Chitter Spitter. 3 mana artifact. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may sacrifice a token. If you do, put an acorn counter on the Chitter Spitter. Squirrels you control get +1/+1 for each acorn counter on the Chitter Spitter. So it's like a lord. Pay a green tap, create a 1/1 green squirrel creature token. I think this card is absolutely fantastic. It's a good one. So it's like, it's sort of a lord. It's a creature generator. Oh, you do have to sack a token, though. So I have to sack tokens. But it can be any token. Could be even a food token. Maybe this card's more clunky than I think it is. Okay, B tier. I was very hopeful. I thought it was a creature at first. The name sounded like it sounded like it was a creature. The Chitter Spitter. Like this is the squirrel that chitters and spits at the same time. Okay, next up. Bell with a... Oh, didn't we do the Verdant Command? Wasn't this... Bell, you got sniped! So we will give it to... Let's give it to Pedgeman. Pedgeman didn't get a card at all. I hope I get... One isn't done yet. Okay, I don't think we have the Acorn Scrounger from Uru. Nope, never heard of it. Okay, 4 mana for a 3/3 Squirrel Soldier. When Eru Acorn Scrounger enters, you may forage. When you do, conjure a card named Chitter Spitter onto the battlefield. That is really good timing. I didn't even know. I would have no idea what the hell that was. So, whenever one or more squirrels you control deal combat damage to a player, you may sacrifice a token. If you do, put an acorn counter on each permanent you control named Chitter Spitter. We just deploy this thing right on the battlefield. Well, in that case, now all of a sudden I like this card. Chitter Spitter, the value of Chitter Spitter just went up. It's basically 2 cards in one. Okay, I can put this card A tier. It's not bad. I can get behind this. Oh, I guess we just got to do it this way. Bell's like, I got sniped. Nut collector. You did get sniped. It was an accident. This is a 6 mana 1/1 human druid. Now, at the beginning of your upkeep, you may create a 1/1 green squirrel creature token. Threshold: all creatures get +2/+2 as long as 7 or more cards are in your graveyard. Honestly, I think this is awful. It's basically a 6 mana lord, and I don't even think you get a whole lot of tokens out of this. It's not the worst thing I've ever seen, but it's pretty poor. Like, it's on par with this other threshold card. It's like an 8/8 if you have threshold. It's basically the same. It's giving me the same energy, and it costs more mana for that matter. Lil MX Doom. The last one. The Underworld Hermit. Underworld Hermit is a 6-mana 3/3 human peasant. When Underworld Hermit enters the battlefield, create a number of 1/1 green squirrel creature tokens equal to your devotion to black. I like it. I think that card can be absolutely insane. You know, you have a bunch of devotion, and you're like, Underworld Hermit. So I'm paying 6 mana, or you like tap out for a bunch of like, is it Gary? No, even worse. The Underworld Hermit. I think it's a very expensive card, but it's going to be fine on curve. So I'll put in the A tier. It's going to be a very fine card on curve. So basically, you deploy all your black cards and then get a bunch of squirrels in devotion. Okay, and with that, it's not over yet. Okay, so this is, I hope you like the tier list, but we have actually some mail. Toads sent me mail today. So let's go see what Toads had to say for the day today. I do have a P.O. box, by the way, if you want to send me stuff. If you send me a large package, let me know in advance that you send me a package. You can send it to P.O. Box 34085 Fort Richmond, Winnipeg, Manitoba. I've had it for years. It's in my description all the time. People are like, how do I send stuff to you? It's like literally the P.O. box has been in the description the entire time. Okay, we got, hey bro! I picked up these cards after, oh, this is the second one. We have a first one. Okay, with the first mail. Merry Christmas! Looks how long it takes for a Christmas card get to Canada. Our postal service was on strike. And we've got a Lord of Atlantis. Is this Lord of Atlantis signed by, I'm not sure who it's signed by. I can't tell if that's Melissa Benson's signature. Maybe? Huh. Yeah, imagine Toad sent a live squirrel. Would be very much in flavor. We got Merry Christmas, bro, the Toads. Well, thank you very much, Toads. I really appreciate it. And what I appreciate even more, it's funny, I got a second thing from Toads. They both came at the same time because the mail got clogged up at the Canadian border, I suppose. Hey, bro, I picked up these cards, and after I mailed your Xmas card, enjoy them. Also, Toads. Oh, yeah, P.S. When is the Squirrel Show? Well, we had the Squirrel Show. It's finally happened. All right? We can't, or here, how about this? We can't be talking about where's the Squirrel Show. The Squirrel Show, it happened. It literally happened. All right, so what is our cards here for today? The first card is, oh, there's several cards in here. Hold on. Whoa. I didn't know. There's several cards. The first one is the Arumai of the Dead Tide. This is a 3-mana 1/4 Merfolk Wizard. Exile cards from your graveyard equal to the number of opponents you have. Target creature card in your graveyard gains Encore until end of turn. The Encore cost is equal to the mana cost. Never heard of this card before. It's probably terrible. The Assassin! The Merfolk Assassin! What is going on here? It destroys creatures with Island Walk. Well, fortunately, this one doesn't have Island Walk, so protection from the Merfolk Assassin. But like, there's, you know, between Lord of Atlantis and Master of the Pearl Trident, I'm going to kill my own Merfolk. It's a funny thing, this is the third Merfolk they ever created. It's so weird. But I guess back then they wanted to kill other things than Merfolk at the time. Yeah, I guess that makes a bunch of sense. There's a lot of non-Merfolk Island Walkers. Oh, we have... Okay, there's more cards here. Next up, we've got the Jadelight Spelunker, a green and an X. It's a 1/1. When it enters the battlefield, explore X times. I actually played this in Pioneer. It's a very good card. And the hell is this? This is Vohar Vodalian Desecrator, a 2-mana 1/2 Phyrexian Merfolk Wizard. Tap, draw a card, discard a card. If you discarded an instant or sorcery card this way, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. Also for 2 mana, sacrifice this thing. You may cast target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard this turn. If that spell would be put into your graveyard, exile it instead. Activate only as a sorcery. What is a very clunky Snapcaster Mage? Flashback at all costs, including its own life. Well, with that, thank you very much, Toads. I really appreciate it, and I hope in I could give back by giving you this tier list of MTG Squirrel cards. And that's it for today. Yeah, the Merfolk Trader, the Assassin, the massive traitor to the Merfolk Squad, the Fish Fam. All right, everyone, thank you very much for being here today. As usual, we do this show 3 p.m. Central Standard Time. Be there or be square. Of course, thank you very much to everyone who supports the show. If you're a patron on Patreon, a member on YouTube, or you super chat to be part of the show, or even super chat so other people are part of the show. And occasionally, you send me things in the mail. Nothing wrong with that either. And of course, thank you so much, Coffee Crew, my Zybra Nation, for being the tier list that we have for today. Thanks to Little Dead Fly Kano, Benjamin Berkeley, Bob Toxbridge, Bell, Kankusha, Jess Oldboy, Trent Sims, Steve Cooper, Christopher B, Dadam Draws, Trip Fontaine. Because where would I be without all of you? I'd be nowhere. This is a community-based channel by the community for the community. So as usual, my coffee crew, keep bringing them coffees, and we will keep brewing up the magic. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you, of course, at the next cup.